I didn't know.
Yeah.
Because after all these years of like, I'm going to say it like, yeah, essentially living like an animal, right? Like I was not a human being at all. Like, so it's pretty crazy. They basically just like taught me a new way of life, and I was able to, start over. And when I did get sober, I literally felt like I was starting from zero, because like I had to relearn normal skills like communication, like it's pretty crazy.
Dang. So
This is From the Ground Up, where we talk to entrepreneurs in all different industries and give you the down and dirty about what makes them successful. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and check back every Monday as we drop new episodes.
to have the countdown. Hey, everybody. We are here with Alex. Pronounce your last name for me again. Kamenetsky. I'm so... Kamenetsky.
I know. That was easy. That's an easy... Like, if you read it, that's how it sounds.
That's not easy. I would say Kamenetsky.
There's an N in there. Okay. Anyway,
it's like an easy one. It's definitely easy.
I don't know. I am so happy he's here today, though. I just got to know Alex not too long ago. I think you're the sweetest, kindest person ever.
Aww.
Like, I'm so happy that we met and that we're friends now. This is Sarah's first time meeting him today.
I know. I have a kid, so I can't do as much as you do. But,
well, I mean, obviously I'm a little sick, so I've been going a little hard in the paint. I am now on prescription medication. Thank God. I know. I feel a little sick because I took it on an empty stomach and I'm drinking coffee, so I feel a little crazy, but all is good. No, but seriously, like, I know you because we're in the industry, right? We're in the same type of industry together. We connected on social media. You know, how else do people meet now without social media? And I've been able to hear a little bit about your story, but I haven't let you go in depth with me because I wanted to save it for here, you know? But I just think that you have an amazing story. I feel like we have very similar backgrounds, and that's why we connect so well. There's just kind of something there. But let's just kind of get into it. So this is Alex. You are in creative financing, right? Flipping, sub-twos. You do all the things, and you're definitely making like a foothold here in Colorado. So I want to get into that, but I feel like there's a reason as to why you're such a gangster now, right? Like whenever people are good in business, I feel like there's a reason that you're such a grinder and that you came there. So I just kind of want to start. I know that you're Russian and you speak Russian, right?
Do you speak fluent?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you say something? Something nice, because we're not going to understand.
So something nice would be like "Привет, как дела?" That just means "Hello, how are you?"
Love it. So
good. I'm sick. But no. So let's just get started. Like, okay, so you're Russian. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Just get started there.
Yeah, so I was born in San Francisco, so I'm first-generation Russian. So me and my brother were born here in America, and my sister, she was born in Russia. And so we were just first generation here. My family had basically nothing when they got here. Like my dad he did car washing and stuff, and I just remember growing up in San Francisco, and then I moved to the East Bay in California, in the Bay Area. And so I grew up like a normal kid, I guess. There was like a lot of stuff that happened at home. I feel like that's typical for everyone, arguments and whatever you have. Yeah. But then kind of what happened as I was growing up, I just felt like I was a lot different than everyone, if that makes sense. I was just like...
Because of your heritage or just because of like personalities?
I think just like I couldn't really speak English well, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I really couldn't even like comprehend English for a long time. I got held back in first grade.
Oh,
so like, yeah, it took me, I think, till like the 3rd or 4th grade to actually be able to speak English, which was crazy.
What was it that made you like start understanding? Because I've heard a lot of people like, watch like soap operas or cartoons and watch TV and learned English that way. Was it just being around more people, or was there something specific?
I've been trying to learn Spanish and like no comprehende. Not gonna happen.
It's hard.
I'm 36 years old and it's not happening. I'm not gonna learn Spanish. So how did you do it at such a young age? Yeah, like soap
yeah,
opera.
A lot of people watch TVs or like listen to radios or whatever,
I think it was just like being around people that only spoke English, and I just clearly remember like in the 1st grade, I remember this, it was yesterday, like everyone's writing their names. I'm like, what the heck? Like, how are people doing this? Like, I thought it was like rocket science to me, right? Like, it was just like a whole different thing. And eventually I was able to learn. after a lot of overcoming, and then it was not easy. For
so
sure.
I'm assuming your parents didn't speak English when they came over here either.
Not at all.
And they had to learn it. What made them come from Russia to America?
Well, just a better life here, and first they moved to Texas with my uncle, and then they migrated to San Francisco.
San Fran's rough. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
well, you've been there once with me. That
I know
that doesn't count.
I'm just saying, like,
That
even
doesn't
back in
count.
the day, like the Oakland, the Bay Area is like it's not an easy area. I don't think for to be raised in. But okay, so you learned English. You kind of knew you were different. Just had a
You were different because
mind.
you're Russian.
Well, I automatically just felt like I was completely different just because I couldn't speak any English, and already, like, I hated school from the beginning.
Yeah.
So it was super, super hard for me to even just, like, comprehend anything. And then I think that's when it really started to go downhill, was after I just knew I was different. I just didn't fit in. I was like, what the heck's going on? And, it wasn't easy in the beginning.
Are your parents still in San Fran?
Yeah, so they're all over California.
Gotcha.
Like, all my family's in California.
Gotcha. Okay, so you made it all the way through high school
Somehow.
somehow.
So you did. So you graduated.
Kinda.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna bring it up because this is kind of where you and I connect a bit. Is that you did, I don't want to say dabble. You got in pretty hard to drugs, and so did I. And I was kicked out of 3 schools and graduated from a special school for special kids. And I know that you got into drugs pretty young, age 12.
So now I actually recently realized it was actually before that. So I'll just get into it. I'll say how it all started was, it actually all started because of the whole English thing, right? I couldn't comprehend anything, and like I just felt like I was different. So the doctors and my parents, they assumed that I have ADD.
Oh, they put you on Adderall?
I was on Ritalin, Adderall, all that kind of stuff.
See?
So like I'm pretty sure that's where it all started from.
Okay.
Right? Me not really knowing that until recently. I'll get into that later. But
Yeah.
I kind of realized that now, like, okay, it all started from the Ritalin.
Yep.
And then eventually, like, they just kept making me take it for years. They're like, oh, this is going to make it better. And it was a complete opposite.
Yeah.
Like, it just made it so I couldn't even concentrate. It made it worse.
I was on Ritalin too. I wonder
Yeah.
if that's
And
where my shit comes from.
I have somebody that I know who's similar to
Shit.
you, and he was like, I know it stemmed from Ritalin. I know when, like, I was a kid, because he fell into drugs too, and he was like, I know that's where it stemmed from.
So
That's
did
wild.
I. I never even thought of that.
Oh, well, there you go.
Okay. So Ritalin.
So that's where it all started from.
Yeah.
And then I had no idea that I didn't like that stuff. Like, it did not do anything good for me. But then later on, when I was around like 12-ish, I started smoking cigarettes.
Yep.
I thought it was super cool to smoke cigarettes because my dad did, everyone in my family, which obviously, looking back now, it's not a cool thing to do.
Well, it was a cool thing to do
It
back
was.
then.
Yeah, and I didn't know how bad it was for you, but either way, so I started smoking cigarettes, then I started smoking weed, but in that meantime is when I got bronchitis from smoking cigarettes. Like, my lungs were just really messed up.
Oh, shit.
And so the
you.
doctors gave me cough syrup, promethazine.
Promethazine codeine.
Yeah, exactly.
You did this.
No way.
Bro, this is wild. See, this is why I'm glad. Okay, same.
That's crazy.
And then you turned it into the purple drink and it became a thing. Oh my
Well,
god.
that's
okay.
way later. But in the meantime, like,
Okay.
it's crazy. So, like, the promethazine, to me, was, like, the key to life. I just thought it was, like, the answer. Like, there was, like, a missing piece of the puzzle, and, like, that just fit perfectly right in. I was like, now my life is great. Like, I just felt, like, super comfortable.
Right.
And then, so I kept, like, telling my dad that I was spilling them. I need more of them. So eventually he's like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing? And then I didn't know it was a problem. I was like, oh, whatever, I'll figure it out. I just won't do that anymore. But then I, like, tried Vicodin, tried all these, like, lower kind of Percocets, which aren't as crazy. And then I got super addicted to that. I had no idea it was a problem. I just thought
what
that...
What age still?
This was, like, 13, 14.
my
so young.
God.
Yeah, so,
Because
like-
okay.
your mind, I feel like your mind still can't comprehend. Like, okay, like I'm on Ritalin, right? I don't like the way this is feeling, but so you were just
You're
kind
a child.
I know. So you're just kind of like throwing all these things and trying to figure out, like, okay, what makes me feel good? What makes me feel comfortable? That's crazy. That's wild. Okay, so then it went
Okay.
into like prescription drugs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I really had no idea that this was, like, bad for you. I just knew that, oh, this made me feel better. Why wouldn't I take it? Like, it was just a no-brainer. Literally nothing in my head told me, like, maybe you shouldn't take it. I just no thought like that at all.
Yeah.
And I already was smoking weed every single day. Like, at 8th grade, it was every day. Like, all I wanted to do was smoke weed and play
Just
Call
get
of Duty.
high.
That was like my life mission, you know, like that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like during high school is when my opiate problem got worse and worse. And so
your
like,
parents never recognized this, or did they?
oh no, for sure, like they did, and like
Okay.
they tried to stop it, and like I would stop, but like things just got worse and worse
Yeah.
later.
Were you like getting it off the streets? Obviously not from your parents. Like you were getting this medication off the streets from like people you knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like once I was already smoking weed every single day, then I just added opiates to the mix, and
Mhm.
I had no idea I had an opiate problem until I was like 17 or so, like, or 18, when I actually felt sick when I didn't have it. I was like, okay, something's wrong here. Like,
Yeah.
and I had no idea because I was already taking it for so long. I was
Yeah.
just immune to it.
Yeah.
And then I had different phases in high school. Like, I would do like a lot of coke, and then I would like stop that, and then I would go to a different one. But then opiates were always a thing in weed.
Mm-hmm.
And so things just got worse and worse. And then at 18 is when things got really bad, like at the end of high school, I would say, because I was doing a ton of oxys,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and I just couldn't stop them. I think I was doing around like 15 to 20 of them a day.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah.
What?
insane.
How did you afford this? Were you working?
No, I was just like selling weed and like all this other
Yeah.
BS things. Yeah. Like,
Hustling on the
Noted.
streets.
Noted.
I mean, it was an expensive habit for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so like when there was one day in particular where I remember this like it was yesterday, like I couldn't get any more oxys, so my friend was like, hey, try this stuff. I'm like, what is it? He's like, well, it's heroin. I'm like, I don't think I should do it. He's like, well, you're gonna save X amount of dollars every single day, and like he's like, it's so much easier to get, like blah blah blah. I was like, I just feel awful right now. I'm like, I
Yeah.
really don't even care. Like I couldn't get it, so like, all right, let's go, let's try it. And then ever since then, like things just went way downhill from there, and like
Oh no.
Did your
Yeah,
parents ever
that's-
try to do like an intervention, or did you get kicked out? Like, did they do the whole like, I know my son has an addiction problem, what the fuck do I do kind of
yeah,
thing?
that happened a lot. So I tried to get sober multiple times.
Yeah.
It didn't really work. Like I would get clean for a little bit and then go right back to it. But then eventually, like I lost everything multiple times. Like
Mhm.
I tried over and over to get sober. Like nothing was working. And so
crazy.
yeah, eventually then I started to shoot drugs, which that was like the end. You know, I think that's when like
Right.
things really went downhill. I think I was around like 21, I would say.
Okay.
Maybe like 20 or 21.
Was that like your rock bottom?
No. So that's where it all like started.
Yeah, keep going.
So
Keep
that's where it all really
going.
started. I think actually I would say I was like, I was 20. I was 20 when I first started doing that.
Mhm.
And then I would get sober, try it, couldn't do it. And then my last rehab that I went to, I remember it was a place where I was the only one who didn't come straight from prison. So like that wasn't good because like I learned a lot of tricks to
Yeah.
like be a
Yeah.
better criminal essentially,
Yeah.
which is like nuts, right? Like
Yeah.
me looking back
Yes.
at this, I'm like, how the fuck was I doing all this? Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like
Bro.
it's crazy.
Bro.
But
Because you
This
lived a
is
life in the
insane.
span of, let's just say, 12 to 20 something that most people don't live. You know what I mean?
No.
And that started at a very young age for you. Like, most people get addicted to drugs in their 20s, right? Like
Right.
when they like understand it, but that's wild.
I went
Crazy.
to rehab when I was 15 years old in Utah, and I was practically there for defiancy, not really drugs yet. Like, yes, I was dabbling in drugs and kind of doing that, but I was like more defiant. I wouldn't go to school. I told my mom to fuck off every day. You know, I was hanging out with really bad people. And I went there and I met girls there who were prostitutes, who were heroin addicts, who were cutters, who were this and who were that. And they also taught me how to lie, manipulate, you know, take advantage of people, pretty much become
Worst
they were
person.
not people,
Yeah.
not bad people, but become a worse person because they had addiction, they had a sickness. But when I left there, because I was able to escape, I didn't finish the program. I came back and I got worse. So this is just, I love talking to you. Okay, so then you were in this rehab and they taught you how to kind of be a better criminal. Then what happened?
And that's exactly what happened where I became a worse person essentially. Like
Yeah.
so what happened was I was there for 6 months and then I was on something called Suboxone, which is like it's the best way to explain it's like a band-aid, a legal band-aid for opiate users, right?
Right.
It's like a temporary fix where you're like, okay, I don't feel dope sick, but I still have to take this every single day. It's obviously healthier than any kind of opiates that you can get on the street, but it's
Right.
still not good for you.
Right, but it like helps taper you off, right?
Yeah, and
Right.
so I was on that for about 6 months, and I decided I was like, with this one guy that I was with, we're like, you know what? Let's just get a bottle of vodka. I think it'll be fine. We could just have a couple drinks and we'll be good. And so what happened was, because in that place you can leave on the weekends after 3 months and you have to come back. And so we left, and then I never came back.
Yeah.
And basically, we got that bottle of vodka. Within an hour, we had 3 bags of heroin, and that was it. And then after that, is when I was homeless for at least 3 years. Like, to my knowledge, it might be longer. Like, time is just like really crazy. So that was homeless in the streets of San Francisco.
That's
insane.
like
that's scary.
the worst.
Because you might have been what, like 23, 24 at that point?
I think I was like 21.
21.
Yeah, about 21.
Because
Or yeah, 20. Yeah, something around that time.
were you literally living on the streets, like in like a box or like a tent, or like could you get like a motel?
No, like all my money just went to drugs. Like I didn't.
So you were on the streets.
Yeah, literally on
Alex.
the streets. Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh my god.
How long ago was this?
So he's 30 now.
Okay.
About 7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got sober 7 years ago. So yeah, about 6. That happened about 6 years ago.
So, and I know, she and I went to San Francisco during COVID, and I know COVID probably made it worse, but like homelessness in San Francisco is no joke. Like it's like, I didn't even like walking on the streets. I'm sure in that 3-year period, like your mind, obviously you kind of blank out a lot of it. Was your family still involved, or did you just like cut ties at all?
So I didn't talk to them for a really long time, like for years on end. I think I would communicate with them like here and there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, a lot of crazy stuff happened within that 3 years. Like, there's honestly not a day that goes by where I don't remember, like, some of the things that happened.
Oh, my God.
It's like, that's why every single day, like, I'm just so grateful for what I have.
Yeah.
And, like, gratitude is so big for me. But, yeah, we can get into that later.
What was your rock bottom? And did that rock bottom make you want to be sober?
Yeah, what got you sober?
I mean, like, throughout my addiction, like, I've had some, like, crazy stuff happen. Like, I've literally been, like, raped. I've been kidnapped. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, some crazy shit that, like, is not even, like, I can't even fathom that happened.
Oh my
but
God,
I know it
give you
happened. No, it's all good. Like,
hug.
the thing is, like, I'm grateful for all these experiences that happen.
Yeah.
Because every single experience, I've learned so much. And I'm like, I will never do this. I'll never do any of those things again, right? It's like, I'm super crystal clear on what I need in my life.
I know.
Don't make me cry. It's so sweet.
But you never got caught up in like the criminal system, right? Like you never, or did you?
I mean, I've been to jail, but luckily, like, I'm not a felon, which
Yeah.
is amazing because I've done some really stupid things that I really, like, looking back, I'm like, I really regret, like, doing all these things, but at the end of the day, like, I can't go back in time and fix it. So
Yeah.
my logic now is, like, all I can do is do better and, like, help people in my situation,
Yeah.
you know?
So
I
true.
love it.
So true. So going through all of that, because you just celebrated your 7-year, like 5 days ago?
Exactly.
Congrats.
7
Thank
years
you.
sober. That's pretty fucking dope, right, James? That's dope. So what happened 7 years and 5 days ago where you were like, no, I can't do this? And how did you clean yourself? Because you can't just stop. Like, that would kill you, right?
Yeah, so this is what happened. So at the end of my addiction, my little brother, he found me somehow. I still don't know how. Like, I never had this conversation with him actually, but he basically found me and was like, "Hey, Alex, like, you can get some help. Like, we're willing to help you. Like, you can get your teeth fixed. Like, all these things. Like, and something just like told me, I was like, I have to do this. Like, this is enough. Like, and the thing is, like, when you're in your addiction, you don't realize anything else. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like nothing else in the world, like, it's like you have your own bubble and nothing else can get in and get out. Like, there's stuff that happens in the world, but all you care about is
Right.
what
When's
you
your
need
next
to do.
high gonna be?
Because you don't want to feel dope sick or any of these other crazy things. Like, just thinking about it, it's like unbelievable that, like, that's a life that I lived compared to today. It's like, it's hard for me to fathom, honestly.
It's like 2 different lives you've lived in one 30-year span.
That's wild, dude.
That's crazy.
is
So he helped you get out. Did you go to rehab, or you're just like, I'm going to do this on my own and just...
You can't do that on your own. You
Yeah.
had to have gone to rehab. Yeah, there's no fucking way you do that on your own.
There's no way.
sorry.
So I ended up going to a place in Israel. So, like,
Oh.
before this, I've already tried
Get
to
your
go-
ass out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've tried to go to rehabs in America. Like, it just doesn't work because in America, like, if you feel like you want to go get high, you can literally just go and, like, leave. You can hop the fence or literally just exit. Nobody's going to stop you. But in Israel, like, you're stuck there, right? So thank God I went to that place. And so I ended up going there for 10 months total. It was 6 months of rehab and then 4 months of it was called a hostel there, which is like a halfway house. So I was there for 4 months after, trying to figure it out. And so they really saved my life. Like, it's truly amazing. It was really, really difficult. Like, their program is like pretty intense. Like, they have like an hour of free time every single day, which is nuts. Like, they have groups all day. Like, you get like 30-minute break and then like another 30-minute break, and that's it. And like, you're dialed in. Like, and they helped me detox. I went through all of that stuff.
How was
like,
the detox process?
It was rough. Like,
because you can't just stop, right? Because that'll kill you. Like, they had to give you.
I mean, from opiate withdrawals, you technically can't die, but you feel like you're going to die. I know alcohol withdrawals and like benzo withdrawals, you can.
Right.
But with opiate withdrawals, like, you feel like you're dying.
Like shit.
Yeah.
Who found the rehab facility in Israel?
I think all of my family, like my brother did, and like they were like, hey, like you can go there, and they're like, if you don't like it, you can leave. And obviously that wasn't the case, but that's what helped me to get there, which I'm super grateful for.
Did they go with you on the plane, or did they just put you on a plane by yourself?
So my dad actually went on the plane with me.
Yeah.
I like did a shit ton of drugs right before, so I was like tweaking the entire plane ride, which was not good.
Yeah.
It was like a 12-hour plane ride.
Yeah, God.
It was really bad. It was really bad.
The flight attendants were probably like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, I was like 120 pounds. Like, I weighed nothing. Like, it was crazy. The condition I was in, like, to get there, I don't know how I made it. Like, I really don't know.
Did they pay for you to get in there, or was some of it covered by, like, insurance, or?
No, basically my brother, my sister, my dad, they all helped me to get there. Because at that time, I already, like, lost everything. Like, I had nothing. Like, I didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. Unless it was, like, I go steal something or do, you know what I mean? It was, like, I was not in the condition to be able to pay for something like that.
Right.
Was the rehab based on Christianity out there?
No, so it's
at all?
not religious at all. Yeah, there's no religion.
Okay.
But I speak Russian, and everyone spoke Russian there, so it was super easy to, like, communicate with them. And
Felt like you belonged.
Yeah, it made it way easier. And, like, in Israel, like, nobody really, like, if you speak Russian or English, you're totally good.
Yeah.
You know, and Hebrew, of course, but...
Oh my God, that's wild. So you were there for 6 months.
10
months.
10 months total.
And then came back to America. Were you nervous to come back? Or were you like, okay, I got this time?
Eventually, like, so in the beginning of the program, I just, like, wanted to leave. Like, the first couple months, I was like, I just want to go back to this. Like, I don't want to live this clean life. Because the detox was really difficult. I've detoxed many times before. Like, that shit sucks.
Yeah.
And, like, all you want to do is just, like, go back to the comfort, right? Like, you always want to be in a comfort zone.
Well, because now there's nothing, like, you're feeling all the feels. Like, you feel everything that you didn't feel, like, and you have to work through that in your head, and that's also terrifying. Other than what your body's going through detoxing, then your fucking brain is fucking with you too, you know?
Well, because I've never been, like, completely sober for that long. It's always been on Suboxone or, like, some kind of or weed, whatever the case may be, but it's never been, like, 100% sobriety.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very different experience for me. I'm like, wow, like, this is rough. And, like, there was a lot of therapy that they had. Like, you just, like, talk to a therapist all the time, go through all these things. Definitely working through all the things that happen was not easy because it's, like, me actually comprehending it, like, holy shit, like, that was real. Okay, now I got to figure out how to deal with it, you know? But at the end of the day, I always remember, like, okay, that's already happened. Like, what am I going to do? Stress about it? Like, and be depressed? It's like, okay, this already happened. Now I just need to figure out a way how to move on. And how I look at it now is, like, anything that's bad that's happened is always a lesson in my life. Like, there's always something that I get out of it.
Absolutely.
So then what brought you, so then you came back to the U.S. Did you come to Colorado immediately, or did you stay in San Fran? Because that's also hard, because right now, you know, like, a group of people that used to live the way that you live, like, you want to stay away from them. Is that what brought you to Colorado?
So I originally went to Florida. They had a halfway house in Florida. Okay. So I went from Israel to Florida. I lived in Florida a total of 3 years.
Nice.
So I lived in their halfway house for 6 months, which was kind of a shitty experience, but it made me realize, like, I need to just, like, get it together and move out and, like, you know.
Did you ever want to relapse? Like, did you ever think about it, or were you pretty
like, after
strong?
I already came back to America and, like, after the actual program, I was like, no, there's no way I'm doing that again.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
I mean, it's, like, a really intense place. Like, it's hard to explain. It's, like, they're essentially, like, brainwashing me to never want to do drugs again, which is amazing. I needed that. This is not, like, an American program. Like, this is, like, something, like, crazy.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
Yeah, you just went straight to the
Like,
Middle
fuck
East.
you, fool. Like, you're never doing drugs again. Yeah.
I mean, it was like, like,
Yeah.
they're super nice, but they can be like really mean when
Yeah.
they need to be, right?
Okay.
It's like they taught me just like basic stuff, like you have to keep everything clean, right? Like you have to make sure that all the dishes are clean, just like basic stuff that regular humans should
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
like me, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after all these years of like, I'm gonna say it like, essentially living like an animal, right? Like I was
Yeah.
not a human being at all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it's pretty crazy. They basically just like taught me a new way of life, and I was able to, start over. And when I did get sober, I literally felt like I was starting from zero because like I had to relearn normal skills like
right.
communication. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy.
Dang. So okay, so you're in Florida. You're there for 3 years. What are you doing there?
So when I first got there, I was like a valet person. So I did valet in the heat, which was fun.
Yeah.
Like, the Florida heat is, I ran like a total of like 7 to 8 miles a day from that. Like, and I had like the shin splints and stuff. Like, it was crazy.
You guys
Yeah.
haul ass when you're on the valley.
Yeah, I was doing valet, and then I did like this like construction helping job. I was making like $8 to $13 an hour.
Okay.
I literally had zero skills like after that, right? So I had to restart everything, just like relearn how to live life.
Yeah.
So I started with that. Then I got a job at Verizon. I did pretty well there. I worked there for about 3 years, and then that's where I got my sales skills back. And then slowly just like got different various jobs. I had worked at like this company called Mobile Help, selling like life alerts, just like random like
Just
sales
grinding.
jobs. Yeah.
You were grinding.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
eventually like my last job that I had was in tech sales, so I had that for about a year, and then I shifted into real estate.
Yeah. What made the
Oh,
shift? Who did
yeah.
you meet? Where were you still in Florida at this point?
Yeah, thank you.
So I
Good
actually
question.
moved back to California.
Okay.
And then I met my old business partner, and he basically was like, hey, like, if you want to learn about creative finance, like, we can do that. I'm like, okay, cool, let's try it. And then I already hated my W-2 job. Like, the Verizon job was way better, and I had different sales jobs, but the tech job was just so boring to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't do this data analytics stuff. Like,
But
it's
did
just
you
not
do
for me.
good in
I
sales?
did okay. Yeah, I did good in
So
sales.
you did pretty good in sales. Okay.
I did good in sales, and I did okay at the tech sales job, but it was just so boring for me. I just was like, all right, I need to find something else. And then I was starting to learn about real estate, and so I was slowly learning, like on my off hours, and then I actually got laid off my W-2 job, but it was crazy because I booked a flight to go to Miami for my first conference. Like Grant Cardone was speaking there, Pace Morby, like Rob
Yeah.
Dyrdek. I was super excited. I'm like, I got to try these conferences. And that was the same day I got laid off as my flight. So it was really crazy how it all happened, right?
So then you're like, it's go time now. Like, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to...
And who got you into this? You're a business partner?
Yeah,
that
my
you're
old
with
business
now?
partner,
Oh, your
yeah.
old business partner. It was just like,
yeah, it didn't work out in that
real
partnership, but
estate.
yeah.
okay. So then you started doing all of these events, and then when did it click?
I would say like, I didn't get my first deal for like 4 to 5 months, and I was on the verge of giving up. I was just like kept persistent, kept calling, kept trying to get deals. Like at that time, I was just trying to wholesale sub-2 deals.
Okay.
And so like I thought that was the key, and it was. I did great with that for a while, and so I just kept learning, and eventually I met my new team, and now we're here.
And so how you met your new team, and they're here in Colorado? So you're just like, because you went to Florida to California, and then what brought you here?
So we actually all met on a Zoom call. So all of our partners are in different places in the country. It's me and 3 other business partners.
Okay.
And we have a bunch of employees that work for us now. And how we all met, like somebody connected us on a Zoom call through Sub2, and we literally were on Zoom for 3 hours together. And so like we just became friends, and we were like, okay, well we started doing deals together, and then eventually we became business partners. And it took a long time to get to where we're at. I mean, it's definitely a lot of work, and like we've trained our employees to do a lot of things.
Right.
But that's essentially how I got here.
Okay. So are you more like, do you do more sub-2s? Do you do more flips? Like, what's kind of your niche?
So we focus on buying with creative finance. So we buy with subject to and seller financing. We were doing a lot of wrap mortgages, but with the market shift, it's becoming a little bit more difficult. So we've been focusing on wholesaling cash deals, doing flips, lease options, and co-living, and now we're also doing Section 8 as well.
So it's like,
No, hold on. Let's,
I'm gonna go
for the
leave you
people
guys.
who need to know, we're going to start. What is sub-2?
So Sub-2 is a way where it benefits the buyer, which would be us, and the seller who's in a situation that could be like where they can't pay their mortgage payment anymore, they're going to foreclosure. So essentially what we do is we would take over their existing mortgage subject to, right, which means we become the new owner, but the debt will stay in their name.
Correct.
Which sounds a little bit crazy. But if the debt stays in their name and the payments are being made on time every single month, their credit will actually go up.
Right.
So in the long term, it will help them, but they have to fully understand what we're doing, right? Because we're not going to refinance most likely in the next couple years, right? We want to keep that rate as long as possible. And we have all the contracts that says all that. Because I know sometimes buyers like, I want it out of my name, but if we're fully transparent about it, it's totally okay.
Right. And you do have contracts saying that, like, if you go try to buy another home, like, this is still in your name. Like, you will be hit with this debt.
Exactly.
We've run into that a lot. So they basically deed the property over to you. You become the new owner. Do you let them continue to live there, or do you figure out what to do with the property? Okay, so they're out.
Yeah, we don't like to do rent backs just because, like, if they can't pay their mortgage right now, how are they going to pay us rent?
Right.
And it's like, that just becomes super complicated. The most we'll do is a 30-day rent back because we understand, like, if they need to move or whatever.
Find some time to go.
I mean, minimum, I would say a maximum, like, 30 days. Like, we could go a little bit longer, but we try not to because then it just can become complicated.
Right. So then do you find these deals? I mean, I know, like, the counties have lists of, like, potential foreclosures coming up, or do people come to you? Like, how do you find the deals?
So we have a lot of deals sent to us, just like through the Sub2 community and just like people that we know. Our virtual assistants will also do a lot of cold calling, and we just basically we have a deals email, and people will send the deals there, and then our virtual assistants will go through them and see if they're good deals. We've trained them enough to where they're like, oh, we should buy this thing or we shouldn't.
That's what I was like talking to you about the other night, and I'm like, do you trust these people to call these leads? And you're like, yeah, because I've trained them up so good, they know exactly what to say with what people. And you said they're in the Philippines.
Exactly.
And so you don't think that like scares people away who are in like really bad debt situations? Like, you don't think that deters them? Like, they're just so educated on how they speak? And
I mean, honestly, like, they're more like knowledgeable than a lot of people in real estate. Like, seriously, like it's pretty crazy. And like, a lot of people are like, well, how do they talk to them with accents? It's like, well, the thing is, if they have an accent, they're actually more personable, and these people will like want to communicate with them more. They're like, oh, okay, like they made a mistake. Okay, they're actually human. It's not a robot. You know,
that's a good way to think of it. And then you also said wrap mortgages. Can you explain to everybody what a wrap mortgage is?
So wrap mortgage is, let's just say we got a deal at 3% interest, and we're going to sell it to somebody else at 9%. So we're essentially wrapping that loan to a higher percentage. So essentially we're arbitraging the interest rate. So in that case, we would make 6% on that deal.
Why would somebody go? Wait.
Maybe for somebody who can't finance a house.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. Then okay, so you'll find a house, you'll take over that mortgage, right? So you'll be paying 3% interest, but they're going to be paying you 9%. So it's basically like a rent to own kind of situation.
Not really rent to own. It's like for people that are business owners, like I-10 holders, people that can't qualify the traditional way, right?
Yeah.
Or they have to put down 25%. I know you guys come across that all the time, right?
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
It's just a little bit harder right now with this market to do wraps, so we've slowed down on that.
Because the rates are higher, obviously.
And so now you said that you're kind of getting into the Section 8 and the co-living. I think co-living's genius. Has that been kind of working best for you, like renting certain rooms? And
I really believe in the co-living model just because with rents being so high, like the average is like $1,700 to $1,900 in the U.S., which is pretty steep, and someone can get their own room for $850 to $1,350. So it's a huge on affordability. People are able to just do more in their life because a lot of times like their income, people spend like 50% of their income on their rent in some cases, right? So co-living is huge. And as long as you match up the people, like you don't have like, you know, like a 20-year-old girl with a 6-year-old man, just an example, right? Like we kind of do like, we want to match them properly, and our VAs, our virtual assistants, are super good at that, right? They're like, hey, this guy's super old or this lady's old. Like they just won't put people together that won't be a good match.
So do you find do you own the houses?
Yeah, exactly. So we bought all of them subject to it.
Okay, so you find the houses. Do you, like, let's just say it's a single family house subject to, then you do renovations to split that co-living space. Just kind of like
Sometimes you do renovation. Sometimes you don't need to, though, right?
Mostly you do. I mean, unless it's already like a 5-bedroom house, you might want to just add like 1 or 2 bathrooms. It just depends on the situation.
Is that something you have to do with the county? Like, don't you have to split that and like label it a duplex now?
I mean, technically you should do permits, but if it's only like 1 or 2 rooms, like we won't really do it. If it's like a huge job, then it's probably better to. But if it's minor renovations, we don't really think it's a big deal.
Yeah, but it hasn't all just been ponies and rainbows, right? Like you found yourself on, like, weren't you saying that you guys like kind of bought homes too quick and got in over your head? And so what are you doing to what happened and what are you doing to remedy that now?
Yeah, I mean, some of the houses are vacant, so we're just converting them to Section 8 or to co-living. The ones that make sense for co-living, we'll do that. And then the Section 8 ones are great. I mean, even with these brand new constructions that have low rates, like we're literally turning them into Section 8, which is crazy. And it cash flows a lot more than a long-term rental.
Yeah. I have a question. I feel like if you're going to get into this sort of business, you already have to have some sort of, in my mind, you'd have to have money or capital of your own or assets to even get started in this. Did you have money saved up when you first got into this, or how did you start building the business model with, I'm going to say, little to no money?
It was with little to no money. Yeah, so we use OPM, which is other people's money, on, I would say, 90% of our deals. Some of them we fund ourselves, but most of the deals we get private money lenders involved. We'll also do private money partnership. So how private money partnership works is the investor will put up all the funds and we'll split profits with them, or we'll just do a regular traditional private money lender.
Are your wheels spinning? Mine are too. Do you need more people? Do you need more partners in there?
Always.
We'll be investors.
I want to know, how did you get in with Section 8? Is there like certain things that you have to do, or?
Yeah, so one of our business partners, Mitch, so he's been in real estate like over 20 years and he has a ton of experience and he's done tons of Section 8 before. So he already knows how to do it all, and like he just brought his experience in, and now we're like, this is genius. So like we love the Section 8 model. It's not only helping people that are, can't really afford much housing, but it's also helping us. So it's a win-win situation.
Absolutely.
Who manages these properties? You guys?
So also, one of our other partners, Verge, he's been in property management for over 10 years. And so he has a funny story, actually. He started his HOA property management company and then sold it on seller financing and then got into creative financing.
That is wild.
Right? So he has a ton of experience with property management. So he oversees all of the property management, and then he has all of our other virtual assistants kind of do all the day-to-day tasks on it. But he oversees the gist of it.
Like, you guys have, everybody serves a huge purpose.
Yeah. But I would assume that, like, Section 8 housing and managing that is not always fun. Like,
it's definitely not easy. It's not easy for sure. Yeah. But it's doable, right? It's not like, it's not that difficult. Because once they're in there, it's okay. Because they're in there for 12-month leases, right? If it's like a short-term rental, that's difficult to manage. Because that turnover is like every 3 days or however many it is.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at like sub-2 properties, is there like an interest rate? I mean, I'm sure you guys have formulas to make it make sense, but is there an interest rate where you're like, no, we're not doing that. We're not going over this specific?
I would say like 4.5% is our top. We're like really spoiled with the rates, just because like now if we see a deal over 4.5 or 5%, we're like, wow, this PITI is so high, and like regular people are like, I would take that deal. I'm like, we don't want that. We want as much room as possible.
Right.
Do you think if COVID ever hit, sub-2 wouldn't be as big? Because I mean, I don't know if COVID didn't hit, if we would have ever saw the 2s or the 3s.
I don't think it would be as big.
I don't think so either.
So that played its purpose. That played its purpose as well.
That's a positive that came out of it.
Oh my gosh. So then, gosh, what was I gonna? I had it in the back of my head.
How long have you been doing this then for?
Just over 2 years full time.
Okay.
Okay, sorry. It just came back in my brain. So did you guys, when you're like, we kind of got in over our head, is that when you were like, were you just buying properties too quickly and at too high of a rate, or?
Yeah, I mean, we did buy a little bit too many properties, I think, but like we're okay now. It's totally fine. It's just like to bring in more revenue, we've done like various things like flipping, wholesaling, like all these other revenue streams kind of to make up for it. It's how I look at it, it's like we just learned from all these experiences, right? Like, some of the houses were not good deals. And like one of them that we bought, we did sight unseen, which we buy all of them sight unseen, but we had somebody do a video walkthrough. We didn't do an inspection. And we thought it was fine, and we get there when we did our Texas tour, and the house was like this.
Oh,
like,
shit.
Oh,
yeah, and the person who did the walkthrough didn't tell us. Like, we couldn't notice in the video. Like, oh, it's fine. We could just renovate a little bit. And it's like, needs a ton of work. But, like, again, like, we learned from that, and we're like, okay, now next time we always get an inspection no matter what. So it's like every time we buy a deal, there's always something we learn from it.
Gotcha.
So you're not just in Colorado.
Yeah, we're not just in Colorado.
You're everywhere.
I would say our main markets are Texas and the Carolinas and Florida and Colorado.
Damn. So your role, so it's one company that you have just business partners with.
Exactly.
Is that under one LLC, or do you guys have like a ton of LLCs underneath this?
We have a lot of different LLCs. Yeah, for different properties. We can't have everything in one.
So you LLC each property on their own?
Not each one. I would say it's about three per LLC.
To be safe, because if somebody comes up after one LLC,
that's all they can go after.
That's all they can
we
go
need to get
after.
ours in an LLC. We have to do that.
Which one?
Winona.
Oh,
We need
yes.
to do that.
Yeah, we'll talk.
It's
We'll talk to you after this. We'll talk to you after this.
That's wild.
So, and you've only been doing this 2 years, and it's just taken off.
Yeah, I mean, the beginning was definitely a lot harder. We're always learning new things and like always evolving and trying to tweak different things. And yeah, it's always a learning game.
So are you teaching people, or do you like want to hold it close to your, I mean, obviously you're here today talking to us, but do you do any, like, do you do seminars yourself? Like, where do you see this going?
Yeah, so like Mitch, for example, one of my business partners, he's taught Raps 101 and Sub 2, and like he's taught various classes. We sometimes do Zooms. Just recently we haven't been, just too much stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're totally open to educating and like helping people. We used to go to different brokerages and talk about Sub 2. Like we're not hiding anything. Like we're open books about anything. Like if somebody wanted to know, like I'm totally open to helping.
That's freaking
a lot.
awesome.
2 years.
You're,
I bet you would have thought like in your little like stage that you were in that you'd be here now. Like that's a big jump in a 7-year span. I'm proud of you.
I know.
I appreciate it.
And I mean, and it takes work. It's not like you just come out of rehab and you're completely healed. Like you constantly have to work on yourself, because sometimes your brain plays tricks on you, or you just always have to constantly be working on yourself. So like, I know that you were saying that you were doing like a little bit of hypnotherapy. Like, what does Alex do to stay leveled and grounded and whole still? Because I know that I have some fucking days where I'm about to just lose my shit. So
Yeah, so when I saw you last time, we talked about the hypnotherapy a little bit. So that was a really, really interesting experience. So I went to this guy called Dom the Hypnotist. It was an in-person event. And then after that, this was in Vegas in April.
Was it like a seminar?
It was like a 3-day seminar. Yeah.
this April 2024.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just a couple months ago. And that really like shifted my mindset. Basically what happened is like, he just made it more clear, like what it can actually be possible, right? And just like being able to manifest things. So after that, I signed up for the hypnotherapy sessions. And then I got partnered actually with a hypnotherapist that I related to her a lot. She's also in recovery. She has like a lot of years sober, more than me. And like, so we just clicked, like we became good friends. And I just got so much out of it. Like any limiting belief that I had, like she would go during our hypnotherapy sessions, like she would talk to my subconscious mind, and we would go into all these experiences that happened in my life to my childhood, like where all these issues started from. It was just crazy. Like it's hard to explain. It's like you're still awake, but you're not at the same time.
So was it like you and your own body going back into time and trying to rewrite the story in a sense?
Well, kind of like it's not really rewriting it. It's just like looking at the story and saying, okay, this is where this issue happened. Okay, cool. Now let's take it away and just be okay with it. Like let's make peace with it, and then let's move on to the next one.
So I tried to do hypnotherapy once. And my mind was thinking about like this mortgage deal that was going to explode. Like I couldn't go into it. And then he's like, you know, you have a balloon here and a rock here. And I'm just like, like my mind, I'm just too fucking crazy. So how did you like go into that? And like, could you do it right away?
Like asleep?
So it's not what people think.
Okay.
Like everybody thinks it's like this like woo woo thing, like a hypnotherapy. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's just
you
like
have to really try.
I mean, it's like you just have to be open minded to it, and it's something that could potentially work for you. I'm not going to say it's guaranteed because nothing's guaranteed, but for me it worked and it helped a lot. And I'm totally open to doing like ongoing sessions with other hypnotherapists or even the same one. Like it's very helpful. It's like anything that you're like stuck with in that moment, like they can essentially go in there and take away that limiting belief, which is amazing.
Are there things that you still struggle with that are from your past?
I wouldn't say it's like a struggle, but like there's not a day that goes by that I don't remember. Like so like randomly as I'm just like going through my day, like random shit will just come up. I'm like, okay, you know, I remember that happening, or I remember this happening. It's like I can't ever like take it out of my mind, but I just know that it's already in the past, so I've made peace with it. That's how I look at it. Like even when these things come up, I'm like, okay, it's there.
Right.
It's already over.
Yeah.
Right.
We were talking about this the other day, and you were about to tell me, and I'm like, don't tell me yet. But you said, I think it was during a hypnotherapy session, you said that you had literally just figured out what your purpose is. And I was like, don't you fucking tell me. You save it for the... Yeah. So like, how long ago was that? And what did you figure out? And what is your purpose?
So it happened a couple months ago. This was actually, it happened during the Dom the Hypnotist event. I realized like what my purpose was, which was to help people who were in my situation before. So if I could help people that were in a situation like this, like to get sober and to find a better life, like, I mean, that's enough for me, honestly. Like, I feel like that's why I survived all these crazy times, is to get here so I can actually help people in this situation.
Right.
Like, whenever I see people that are in this situation, I'm like, damn, like, how can I help them? Like, because I know how it is. Like, and people just, like, laugh at people, like, sitting on the street or, like, and I don't laugh at them. I'm like, I know this shit. Like, I know what the fuck you're going through. So, like, I totally can relate to them, and I'm like, hey, can I get you a meal? Like, what do you need? Like, I'm more than happy to help. Like, I just don't like to give them money because, like, they're going to buy drugs, which is what I would want in their situation. But, like, if I could at least get them food or something, like, you know, I'm more than happy to do that. Always. Like,
what did you think about the saying that, like, you can't help anybody until they want to help themselves? Do you think that that's true? Or do you think that, do you think if your brother never showed up that day that you would be here?
I would definitely not be here if he didn't show up for me that day. 100%. Like,
but
1000%.
Something in your mind was like, I'm ready to stop. But I bet if he probably would have done that a year prior, do you think it would have?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I think it was just like right timing and right place. But I think you definitely have to be ready to be helped for sure. Otherwise, like, because I've already tried it.
Yeah.
When I didn't want to be helped, it didn't work.
Yeah.
But when I actually wanted to be helped, then it's like, okay.
You did the work that you needed to do.
Yeah.
So your purpose of helping people and knowing that that's kind of like your calling right now. I mean, obviously you have to have this job like the sub-2 and creative financing, but like, how do you think that you're going to help people? Like, do you have a plan in place? Is it just buying people food on the street? Like, what does that look like?
So I actually thought about this the other day. So what I wanted to accomplish is like I don't know what it's going to be called, if it's like a foundation or whatever the case may be, but like something where it actually will help people get off the street and like find a better life. So eventually, I haven't like planned it all yet, but like I know this is just like a thought I had, so I need to eventually start planning this.
Yeah.
Right.
But I just know that God or the universe or whatever it may be gave me more than a second chance. Like, I definitely should not be here. Like, after all the overdose I had, like, it's just like endless shit that's happened. And like, I just know there's a bigger purpose. So I know that's why I'm still here.
I love that.
So you just got to figure out how to do something with it.
Exactly. Like, I really want to help people who are in the Tenderloin in San Francisco, like where I was.
Oh,
like that would be
dude,
awesome.
that's
Like,
deep.
because there's a lot of people like that are good people and they just don't know how to get out of this. Like, because once you're stuck in addiction, like you're stuck. Like you can't get out. Like, at least I can only speak for myself. That's how it was for me.
Well, and the drug problem's only getting worse and worse. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot worse than it was 7 years ago. You know, like it's sad, and I think that more people do need help, and people just don't know how to, because addiction is no joke. Like,
I wonder if there's a way that you could kind of do it with the industry that you're in too, with like housing people. But I guess you have to be super, super safe if you're doing like co-living with other people. But I wonder if you could do a couple houses and make those like sobriety houses,
safe havens or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there'd be a lot of like legality to that you would need to look into.
I mean, that's a good idea too. Or I can even start helping like people in Denver. It's just like my heart like really feels like to the people in the Tenderloin, because like I was there myself, you know. So but I just know that I want to be able to help people to find a better life, because it's like I know it's possible, right? Like I went through it myself. Like when I was in the addiction, I knew for sure there was no other life. Like I already gave up on everything else. I was like, there was either I get sober and try to have a better life or stay doing that. And I just chose to stay doing it.
I love that for you. I gotta ask. Sorry, like I'm grilling you right now. So like, you know, you hang out with a lot of people in the industry, and a lot of people in the industry like to drink and like to party, and there's happy hours, and you have an amazing place where you live with a pool, and you throw parties with alcohol, and you're around people who are always drinking, and you're always the sober one, which is phenomenal. is that hard to be around? How do you navigate it? How do you, I don't want to say how do you have fun, because that sounds awful, but like, how do you have fun being sober? But being in the industry that you're in, how do you do that? How do you deal?
So like for me, alcohol, nicotine, drugs, it's all in the same category. I just look at it as like I'm either allergic to it, and if I do it, like I'm literally just not going to live anymore. So I've literally brainwashed my mind to think like that. Like I don't do nicotine anymore. I don't do anything, right, except caffeine. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. So I just program myself like, okay, that I just don't do. Like other people can do it, but like my body is not going to react to it well, so I just cannot do it. That's it. Like there's been countless times where people like, you can just have one. Like to my friends, like it takes a lot, you know, to explain it. But once somebody understands, like I just can't do it, then they know. But in the beginning, they're like, why can't you just have one? You can just have one. It's going to be fine. I'm like, you just don't understand. Like
it's not. Is it hard to see people like that you get with at the beginning of the day and they're nice and sober, and then at the end of the day they're just sloshed? Or is it kind of like, do you get embarrassed for them? Or are you like, oh God, I'm glad that's not me?
I'm exactly like that, where I'm like, thank God I don't have to deal with that, and I can wake up normal and still do my thing and feel totally fine.
But like you still go out to clubs, you still dance, you still do everything, and you still have fun. You just don't need to be altered.
Exactly.
Do you get sick of telling people the same story over and over again? Like, this is why I can't drink, or like just, or do you just come up with like, no, I'm good. Like I'd get sick of telling people over and over.
Like, fuck you, I'm sober, leave me the fuck alone. And I'm sure people are like, just one, like a bunch of dicks.
That's what happens all the time, but I'm used to it. I mean, I just tell them once, and if they don't want to listen, I'm like, I just won't do it, and that's it. Like,
How's your relationship with your family now?
Amazing. It's really good. Yeah. I go visit them all the time, and I have a great relationship like with my sister. She has two nieces, or two girls, and they're my nieces. Like we have a great relationship. I'm really close with my brother. Like
that's good.
Yeah, life today is like, I would have never imagined, like at the worst day of my addiction, that this is even possible. Like anything remotely close to this. Like
but you're doing well. You have a nice place. You have great friends. You're making money. You're doing it all. You got to do me a favor though. You got to go back to your brother and ask him how he found you.
I need to find out.
Yeah. Or does that make you anxious?
No. I just totally like.
Don't do it if it makes you anxious.
No. I just like, when all that happened, I was just like shocked, and I just didn't really think it through. Like, and I was just like, looking back now, I'm just so glad that it happened, and we don't really talk about that anymore, right? Because it's like already passed, and like, I went through a lot of bad things, and like they've seen it, and it's like I don't like to bring it up anymore, like because I just don't want him to be like, hey, that's over.
How many years younger is he than you?
2.5.
Did you recognize him when he first came up to you, or are you just like, who's this?
No, of course I recognize him. Like I know, I can still like comprehend things, kind of. You know? Like I'm still a human. I'm still alive, but.
That made me laugh.
Sometimes I don't recognize it.
Sometimes when I wake up after a night and I like try to open my phone, it's like your face is not like, you're not recognizable. I'm like, all right.
Oh, that's wild. Do you feel like going through what you went through with, you know, being on the streets helped you in sales? Or helped?
Yes, for sure. So
because I think that's, I hate sales, and she's really good at it, and you guys had a similar past, but I'm like, I wonder if the I won't say like manipulation, but kind of just like the way you had to move.
Manipulation.
Not manipulation.
Not manipulation, but you know what I mean? Like you had to move a different way than normal people do, and you had to talk a different way to people than normal people. Like, I shouldn't say normal, but like I grew up completely different, right? But she's so good at talking to people, and she's just so like out there, and I'm not. I wonder if that has anything.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you're great with people. For me, I can speak on this. For me, my thing is the fear of failure, and I know it's like a self-doubting thought, and that's something that I need to work on. But I won't go back, so I won't fail. Like I will find a way to do it, and I do love people. I love being around people. And sales is just another way of hustling, whether it's selling drugs, because I was selling drugs too. You were selling drugs. It's a way of hustling. And you're like, it's almost like a game that you're going to win at, but you turned the shitty shit that you were doing into really good shit that you could do where you can make money. That's kind of, what's your thought process on that?
So if I can relate sales to my addiction, for example. So in my addiction, like you do whatever it takes to not feel bad, or like you do whatever it takes to get your next high, basically, right? And it's the same thing in sales. Like you have to do whatever it takes, or you're just going to be a shitty salesperson at the end of the day. Like, so that's how it's related, is like you do absolutely totally whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Somebody else will. If you don't, somebody else will.
Right. But that's a mindset that I think you learn on the streets, to be honest. I mean, I have a little bit of that, but she's got like it consumes her sometimes, you know.
I love you.
I love you.
I love you. And I love you. And for the sake of time, we have about 5 minutes left. You're fucking great.
Yeah.
I think you're awesome. What is next for you? Do you have any big things that you want people to know about? Any big events that you're doing? Just anything that you want to spread the love on?
Yeah, I mean, we typically do a monthly meetup. We haven't really been doing it recently, but we're going to start again. Just like for networking, so other people in real estate, just entrepreneurs in general, can get together. And yeah, you guys will definitely have to come to the next one.
Sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think one message that I would say, something that's like super important to me, is being around the right people. One of my favorite quotes is by Dan Pena: "Show me your friends and I'll show you your future."
Yep.
And that really stuck with me, because I've noticed, like, if I hang out with losers, I'm definitely going to become a loser. But if I hang out with winners, that's what I'm going to be. And it's like, you are what you attract. So I really try to stay around positive people. I only listen to positive things. Like, if somebody's negative in my life, like, I don't care. Like, they got to go.
Get
like,
going. Same.
I can't deal with anything negative or anything like that. I just don't have time for it. And it just, like, depletes you, right? I've noticed, like, I'm very, like, sensitive when it comes to energy. And I can tell right away, like, if somebody's going to be positive in my life or negative, and I'll just not have them be there.
Yep. It's huge.
You gotta cut them
Well,
off.
I can't just wait to see your growth and see where you're at the next Friday. Do you think you'll stay in Colorado?
For sure.
Yeah, you love it
I
here.
love it here. It's my favorite place that I lived.
There's no ocean, though. I mean, like California to Florida.
I mean, you can always go back.
There's a lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you could travel.
Yeah.
I guess that's definitely a
You're
thing.
one plane ride away from anywhere at the end of the day.
So when do you think these conferences are going to come up where people can come every month? Like what?
The meetups.
The meetups. Like what? Like when can we expect those?
Yeah, typically at the end of the months, like end of each month.
In real estate,
Yeah.
smart, end of the month when everybody's just losing their shit. Like let us help you. Let us help
We'll
you.
figure it out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's freaking awesome. Thank you so much for being on today. How can
amazing.
everybody find you? How can anybody find your company?
Yeah, so our company is called Homestir. I have Instagram, is just my first and last name, Alex Kamenetsky. I also have Facebook,
Homestir, Homster.
STIR. Homestir.
Oh, I see. Okay.
All right. It's
Okay.
go time.
We
Thank
love
you so much for being on today.
you.
You're truly an inspiration.
You really are.
Thanks
All right.
for having me, guys.
We out.
Thank you so much for listening. This is From the Ground Up. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and check back next Monday for the next episode.